I stared at the note for what felt like hours, my fingers trembling as I clutched the thin paper. Jake and I had just exchanged vows in front of our closest friends. Well, my closest friends, since his family hadn't shown up. The ceremony in that quaint chapel in upstate New York had been perfect. Sunlight streaming through stained glass, promises of forever whispered under the watchful eyes of a progressive minister who blessed our union without judgment. But now, mere hours later, he was gone. No suitcase missing, just his wallet, phone, and the car we'd rented for our drive to the Catskills. I called his number obsessively, each ring echoing my growing panic. Voicemail. This is Jake. Leave a message. Click. By midnight, I was pacing the room, my tuxedo shirt unbuttoned, sweat mixing with the remnants of cologne he'd chosen for me. The next morning, reality hit harder than any hangover. I checked out of the hotel alone, the concierge giving me a pitying look as I explained my husband had an emergency. Back in our Brooklyn apartment, the silence was deafening. We'd moved in together 2 years ago, after meeting at a Pride event in Manhattan. Jake, with his easy smile and sharp wit, had swept me off my feet. A software engineer from a conservative Midwestern family, while I was a graphic designer from a more accepting East Coast upbringing. Our love had felt invincible, weathering late-night arguments about coming out to his parents and my impatience with his secrecy. We'd planned everything, the wedding, the future, and now this. I didn't cry until I saw the surrogacy paperwork on the kitchen counter. We'd started the process 6 months ago, selecting a surrogate in California through an agency specializing in LGBTQ+ families. Jake had been the biological donor. It was his sperm that would create our child. The embryo transfer was scheduled in 2 weeks. My heart raced. What now? I couldn't just cancel. This baby was half Jake, a piece of him I'd fought so hard to build a life with. But contacting him, his phone was off, and his social media accounts deleted overnight. It was as if he'd vanished into thin air. Days blurred into a haze of denial and desperation. I hired a private investigator, maxing out a credit card. Mr. Thompson, the PI said over coffee in a dingy diner. Your husband, excuse me, Jake Harlan, boarded a flight to Chicago last night, back to his family's farm in Illinois, where his evangelical parents lived, the ones who'd disowned him when he came out in college, only to pretend it never happened when he visited alone. Had they pulled him back? Was this their doing? I imagined the pressure. The guilt trips, the Bible verses hurled like weapons. Jake had always been torn, his love for me clashing with the ingrained shame from his upbringing. I confronted the void by throwing myself into work, but the apartment felt haunted. Friends called, concerned. Ethan, what happened? I'd lie, say it was a family emergency on his side. The truth was too raw. At night, I'd replay our last moments. The kiss at the altar, his hands squeezing mine during the vows. I do, he'd said, eyes shining. Liar. The surrogacy agency called. Mr. Thompson Harlan, the transfer is confirmed. Are you both attending? I hesitated, then said, just me. It was a decision born of spite and longing. If Jake wouldn't build this family, I would. Alone. The flight to Los Angeles was turbulent, mirroring my mind. At the clinic, the surrogate, Maria, a kind woman in her 30s, smiled warmly. Where's your partner? She asked. Work, I muttered. Watching the procedure through a window, I felt a surge of protectiveness. This embryo was Jake's legacy, whether he wanted it or not. Back home, I waited for the pregnancy confirmation. When it came positive, I broke down. Joy mixed with fury. How dare he leave me to this? Weeks turned to months. No word from Jake. The PI reported he'd gone radio silent, living with his parents, working on the farm. No divorce papers yet. Our marriage was still legal. I debated reaching out, but pride held me back. What if he regretted it? What if he didn't? The baby grew inside Maria, ultrasounds showing a healthy boy. I named him in my head, Lucas, after Jake's grandfather. a nod to the family he'd abandoned. Society's whispers started creeping in. At prenatal classes, I was the only single dad to be. "Where's the other parent?" instructors asked innocently. "It's complicated," I'd say, forcing a smile. My own family was supportive. My sister flew in from Boston to help decorate the nursery, but they pushed me to file for divorce. "He's ghosted you, Ethan. Move on." But how? This child tied us forever. One evening, as I painted the nursery walls a soft blue, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. "Ethan? It's Jake's mother." Her voice was cold, accusatory. "He told us everything. This lifestyle isn't right. He's home now, repenting." Repenting? My blood boiled. "He left me on our wedding night," I shouted. She hung up, but not before saying, "Don't contact him. He's healing." Healing from what? From loving me? That call ignited something fierce. I decided Jake wouldn't know about Lucas. Not yet. Maybe never. It was my revenge, my protection. I'd raised this boy as my own, legally adopting him as a single parent since Jake had signed the papers pre-wedding. The law was on my side in New York, but the moral weight crushed me. Was I stealing his child, or saving him from a father who'd run? As Maria's belly swelled, so did my resolve. I attended every appointment alone, feeling the kicks, hearing the heartbeat. This was my family now. Jake had chosen his path. I'd forge mine. But deep down, the betrayal festered, a wound that refused to heal. The first trimester passed in a whirlwind of morning sickness updates from Maria and my own emotional nausea. Work became my sanctuary, designing logos for progressive brands, channeling my pain into creativity. But evenings were brutal. I'd scroll through old photos, Jake and me at Coney Island, laughing as waves crashed. Our engagement dinner in Greenwich Village, toasting with friends who'd now awkwardly avoided mentioning him. "How are you holding up?" they'd text. "Fine," I'd reply, lying through gritted teeth. The surrogacy contract allowed for anonymity if desired, but Jake had been listed as the intended parent alongside me. Legally, I could petition to remove him, citing abandonment. My lawyer, a sharp woman from the ACLU's LGBTQ+ division, nodded sympathetically. Desertion after marriage is grounds for sole custody. "But Ethan, are you sure? This child is biologically his." I paused, staring at the Manhattan skyline from her office. "He left us. Both of us." She filed the papers. News of the pregnancy spread among mutual friends. Some sided with me. Others whispered about Jake's breakdown. One night at a bar in Hell's Kitchen, a former colleague cornered me. "I heard Jake's back in Illinois, going to church every Sunday. His folks think it's a phase he snapped out of." A phase? Our 2 years together reduced to that? I slammed my drink down, storming out into the rainy streets. The city lights blurred through tears. How could love be a phase? Maria's second ultrasound revealed everything was perfect. "It's a boy," the doctor said. I smiled, but inside, turmoil raged. What would I tell Lucas about his other dad? That he ran away? That society broke him? My therapist urged exploration of my anger. "You're grieving a dream, Ethan, but hiding the truth from Jake. Is that fair?" Fair? Nothing about this was fair. Jake's family had poisoned him with homophobia, turning our vows into ashes. I pay the price alone. Holiday season amplified the isolation. Thanksgiving with my family in Connecticut was warm, but empty without Jake. My mom hugged me tight. "You're strong, honey. This baby will bring joy." I nodded, but doubts crept in. Was I equipped to be a single dad? Financially, yes, my freelance gigs paid well. Emotionally, questionable. Then a breakthrough or breakdown. I drove to Illinois on impulse. A 12-hour trek fueled by coffee and rage. The Harlan farm loomed under gray skies, cornfields barren in winter. I parked down the road, watching. There he was, Jake in overalls fixing a tractor. Thinner, haunted. Our eyes met across the distance, or did they? I panicked, driving away without confrontation. Coward, I thought. But seeing him solidified my choice. He wasn't ready. Maybe never would be. Back in Brooklyn, I focused on preparation. Lamaze classes, baby-proofing, stocking diapers. Friends through a shower, gifts piling up. To Ethan and little one, cards read. No mention of Jake. Good. As Maria entered the third trimester, complications arose. A minor scare with gestational diabetes. I flew to LA again, holding her hand during tests. "You're a good dad already," she said. Tears welled. "I hope so." Meanwhile, the divorce proceedings inched forward. Since Jake hadn't responded to summons, it defaulted to me. The judge, a no-nonsense New Yorker, granted sole custody. "Unusual case, Mr. Thompson, but abandonment is clear." I walked out free legally, but the shackles of betrayal remained. Spring brought renewal. Maria's due date approached. I paced the apartment, nursery ready. Crib mobile with stars Jake had picked. Irony stung. One night, a dream. Jake returning, begging forgiveness. I woke sweating, heart pounding. No, he chose his family over ours. The call came at dawn. "It's time." I rushed to the airport, mind racing. This was it, the birth of my son, Jake's son. Our son? No, mine now. In the delivery room, I held Maria's hand as Lucas entered the world, crying lustily. 7 pounds, perfect. I cut the cord, tears streaming. "Welcome, little guy." Holding him, I felt whole for the first time since the wedding. But as nurses cooed, guilt flickered. Jake didn't know. Should he? The flight home with Lucas was magical. His tiny fingers gripping mine. Brooklyn welcomed us. Neighbors clapping, friends visiting. "He's beautiful," they said. He was. Jake's eyes, my smile? Wishful thinking. Settling into fatherhood. Routines emerged. Feedings, naps, endless love. But society loomed. At the park, moms asked, "Where's his other parent?" "Just me," I'd say, deflecting. Internal conflict brewed. Was hiding Lucas moral? Jake's DNA coursed through him. But the man who'd contributed it had fled. One afternoon, as Lucas napped, I drafted an email to Jake. "You have a son." Deleted it. Revenge tasted bitter now, replaced by protectiveness. Lucas deserved stability, not a flaky father influenced by bigots. Yet the price I paid was loneliness. Nights, I'd rock him, whispering stories of 2 dads who'd loved fiercely, until one didn't. Tears fell. This was my cross. Raising a child in secret, bearing the weight of Jake's abandonment alone. Fatherhood transformed me in ways I hadn't anticipated. Lucas was a bundle of energy from day one. Cooing at the mobile, gripping my finger with surprising strength. Mornings started with his gummy smile, erasing the exhaustion of sleepless nights. But beneath the joy, a shadow lingered. Jake's absence. Every milestone felt like a victory stolen from him, or perhaps withheld. Work adjusted to my new reality. I freelanced from home, designing while Lucas played in his bouncer. Clients understood. Some even sent baby gifts. "Congrats on the little one," emails read. No questions about the wedding fallout. Gossip had faded. But family pressures resurfaced. My sister, visiting from Boston, pressed. "Ethan, tell Jake. He has a right." We argued in whispers over coffee. "Right?" After ditching me, she sighed. "For Lucas's sake. Medical history, heritage." She had a point. Jake's family had heart issues. What if? But admitting that meant opening the door to chaos. Society's gaze intensified. At a local LGBTQ+ parenting group in Park Slope, I shared my story, edited. "My partner left before the birth." Sympathetic nods. "Brave," one dad said. But inside, I wrestled. Was I brave or vindictive? Discussions there highlighted struggles. Adoption biases, custody battles. One couple fought grandparents for rights. Echoes of Jake's parents chilled me. Summer brought Lucas's first steps, wobbly, triumphant. I filmed it, heart swelling. Look at you, buddy. Who to share with? Not Jake. Instead, I posted vaguely on social media, milestones. Friends liked, but the void gaped. Then a bombshell. My PI called, Jake's engaged. To a woman. What? Photos attached. Jake at a church picnic, arm around a blonde in a sundress. His mother's doing, no doubt. Conversion therapy light? Rage boiled. He was burying himself deeper, erasing us. That night, holding Lucas, I cried. Your dad's lost, kiddo. Decision time. Confront or conceal? I chose the latter, but doubt gnawed. Was I denying Lucas a father out of spite? Fall arrived, Lucas turning one. A small party. Cake. Balloons. Friends sang, he clapped. Joyful yet bittersweet. Afterward, cleaning up. A knock. Delivery. A package from Illinois. No sender. Inside. A teddy bear. Note. For the child I never knew. Forgive me. Jake? How? Panic surged. Did he know? I called the PI. He's been asking around. Mutual friends slipped. Damn. Confrontation loomed. Days later, my phone rang. Jake. Ethan? I heard about the baby. His voice cracked. Our baby. Silence. My baby, I corrected coldly. You left. Explanations tumbled. Family pressure. Panic attack post-wedding. Regret. I was weak. They convinced me it was wrong. Wrong? Our love? We talked for hours, tears on both ends. I want to see him, he begged. No, I said. You chose them. But his plea pierced. I'm getting help. Therapy. Leaving the farm. Hope flickered, but trust shattered. The call ended unresolved. I rocked Lucas, mind reeling. Let him in? Risk heartbreak again? Weeks passed. Jake persistent. Texts. Calls. Please, Ethan. I messed up. My therapist advised caution. Consider co-parenting. For Lucas. But memories flooded. The note. The empty suite. At a family gathering, my dad pulled me aside. Son. Forgiveness isn't weakness. Easy for him, straight, accepted. For us, society stacked the deck. Lucas's laughter pulled me back. His first word, Dada. Me or Jake? Ambiguity stung. Finally, I agreed to meet. Neutral ground. A Chicago cafe, Midway. Jake arrived. Disheveled. Eyes pleading. I'm sorry. We talked. His breakdown, parents' manipulation, internal homophobia. I love you. Both. Proof? He showed divorce papers from the sham engagement. I'm out. For real. Temptation warred with caution. Prove it, I said. He nodded. Anything. Back home, I pondered. Let him visit. The price, vulnerability. But for Lucas, perhaps worth it. Yet, betrayal's scar ached. Society celebrated straight redemptions. For gay men, scrutiny doubled. Was Jake's change genuine? Lucas's second birthday approached. I invited Jake, supervised. He arrived bearing gifts, tears in eyes as he held his son. He's perfect. Lucas warmed quickly, giggling. Hope bloomed, but tension simmered. Jake's parents called him. Come home. He refused. Progress? Our talks deepened. Rebuilding trust, therapy together. But doubts lingered. What if he ran again? One night, over dinner in Brooklyn, Jake proposed reconciliation. Marry me again? Too soon. Earn it, I said. The journey continued, fraught with mending. Lucas thrived, unaware of the storm. But the cost? My heart, guarded forever. Reintegration was a minefield. Jake moved to a sublet in Queens, commuting to visits. Supervised at first, parks, playdates. Lucas adored him. Papa! He'd squeal, toddling into his arms. Jake's eyes lit with wonder. regret shadowing them. "I missed so much," he'd whisper. Therapy sessions were raw. Our counselor, a specialist in LGBTQ+ issues, unpacked layers. Jake's internalized shame from a religious upbringing, my abandonment trauma. "You both paid prices," she said. Jake's isolation from family, lost years. Mine, solo parenting's exhaustion, trust erosion. Society's undercurrents surfaced. At a pride parade, we walked as a family, tentatively. Strangers cheered, but Jake flinched at memories. My parents called it sin. Progress. He waved a rainbow flag, Lucas on his shoulders. But backlash came. Jake's sister leaked news online. My brother's back in the lifestyle. Hate mail followed. Faggots raising kids? Disgusting. I shielded Lucas, but the vitriol stung. "This is the world we fight," I told Jake. He nodded, resolute. Financial strains added pressure. Jake quit farming, job hunting in tech. "I'll support you both." But resentment bubbled. Where was he when I paid surrogacy fees alone? A major conflict erupted over holidays. Jake wanted Lucas to meet his grandparents. "They've changed," he claimed. I laughed bitterly. "The ones who drove you away?" Argument escalated, shouts, tears. "You're punishing me forever," he accused. "Protecting us," I retorted. We separated briefly, him back to Queens. Reflection time. My friends advised, give him a chance. But the moral dilemma, forgive betrayal or safeguard stability. Lucas asked for Papa. Heartbreaking. I relented, inviting Jake back. Co-parenting evolved. Shared custody talks. Legally, I held cards, but ethically? We amended papers, joint custody, if he proved consistency. Jake did. Attending every doctor's appointment, reading bedtime stories. His change seemed real, cutting ties with toxic family. Yet, intimacy lagged. We were parents, not partners. "I still love you," he confessed one night. After Lucas slept, I hesitated. Love isn't enough. High tension peaked at Lucas's preschool interview. The director, conservative-leaning, probed, "Two dads? How stable?" Jake defended, "We're committed." But her skepticism mirrored society's biases. Post-interview, we argued again. "This is what you fled from," I yelled. He admitted, "Yes, and I regret it every day." A turning point. Jake's parents visited unannounced. At our door, his mom tearful. "We were wrong." Apology. Skeptical, I listened. Therapy had opened their eyes, grandchild effect. Jake forgave tentatively. I observed. Family dinner, awkward but civil. Lucas charmed them. "Grandma?" he asked. She cried. Healing? But trust issues persisted. I discovered Jake's old journal, entries of doubt pre-wedding. Am I ready? Family pressure mounting. Betrayal renewed. Confrontation. You knew you'd leave? He denied. Panic, not plan. Believable? Our bond strengthened through trials. A health scare, Lucas's fever, united us, vigil at hospital. "We got this," Jake said, holding my hand. Discharge day, we kissed. First since the wedding. Tentative but real. Rebuilding accelerated. Jake moved in, platonic at first. Society watched. Neighbors gossiped, but support grew. Moral quandaries remained. Had I been right to hide Lucas? Jake thought no. You took my choice. I countered. You took mine by leaving. Debates fueled growth. Therapy helped navigate. Lucas flourished, oblivious to drama. His laughter, the bomb. But the price? Eternal vigilance. Love, once shattered, mended with scars. As years passed, Lucas starting kindergarten, we faced new challenges. Explaining our family to peers. Why two dads? Kids asked. We taught pride. Jake's commitment solidified. Proposing again, ring in hand. For real this time, I accepted, wary but hopeful. Vows renewed in a simple ceremony, friends witnessing. No family drama. Happiness bloomed, but shadows lingered. Society's acceptance incomplete. Internal wounds healed slowly. The journey's cost. Time lost. Hearts broken. Worth it? For Lucas, yes. With renewed vows came a fragile peace. Our Brooklyn home buzzed with family life. Lucas's artwork on fridge, Jake cooking dinners, me designing late. But undercurrents of past betrayal surfaced in quiet moments. A glance at the old note, kept in a drawer as reminder, stirred unease. Professional lives intertwined. Jake landed a job at a tech startup in Manhattan, advocating for LGBTQ+ inclusion. Making amends, he said. I supported but watched for cracks. Social pressures mounted. At Lucas's school play, parents whispered. The gay couple heard they split once. Jake squeezed my hand. Ignore. But it grated, echoing broader prejudices. A major confrontation arose when Jake's parents pushed for more involvement. Let Lucas visit the farm. I refused. Not until I'm sure. Argument with Jake. They're changing. Prove it. He did, inviting them to therapy. Sessions revealed their regrets. We feared for your soul. Jake forgave. I remained guarded. Moral tightrope. Was reconciliation enabling past harm? Friends divided. Some praised forgiveness, others warned relapse. Lucas, now 5, sensed tensions. Why sad, Dada? I'd hug him. Grown-up stuff. Explaining our story age-appropriately. Papa had to go away, but came back because he loves us. Jake's redemption arc continued. Volunteering at LGBTQ+ youth centers, sharing his story. I ran from myself. Inspiring but personal cost. Nightmares of abandonment. Our intimacy rebuilt slowly, no rush. Dates, therapy guided. Trust grew. Then, a crisis. Jake's company faced a homophobic scandal. Colleagues outed, harassed. Jake stood up, risking job. For our family. He was fired wrongfully. Lawsuit followed, supported by ACLU. Stress tested us. Late nights arguing finances. We manage, I said, but doubt crept. Would he bolt under pressure? He didn't. Victory in court. Reinstatement. Damages. We won, he beamed. Pride swelled. Society's evolution helped. Marriage equality firm, but battles remained. Trans rights. Adoption. We advocated Lucas in tow. Internal conflicts peaked during a family vacation to California. Visiting Maria. Lucas met his tummy mommy. Grateful tears. But Jake confessed, I almost missed this. Guilt shared. Back home, a betrayal echo. Jake received a call from an old flame. Female. From Illinois. Just checking in. Innocent. I snooped regretfully. Messages. Platonic. But paranoia flared. Confrontation. Trust me? He asked hurt. Trying, I admitted. Therapy unpacked. My insecurity rooted in abandonment. Healing progressed. Lucas's questions deepened. Why no mommy? We explained surrogacy, love's forms. The price paid. Emotional labor, constant vigilance. But rewards, a thriving family. As Lucas entered first grade, normalcy settled. Soccer games, parent-teacher nights. Jake coached, I cheered. Yet, a twist. Jake's parents disowned him again after seeing our renewed vows online. Unrepentant. Jake grieved, but chose us. My real family. Lost stung but liberated. No more divided loyalties. Our story inspired others. Friends in similar straits sought advice. Forgive, but verify. Moral ambiguity lingered. Was hiding Lucas initially wrong? Jake thought yes. I defended as protection. Debates enriched us. Love tested, strengthened. Lucas's bedtime stories now included 2 dads who fought for happiness. The journey's end? Ongoing. But hope dominated. Years unfolded. Scars fading into stories. Lucas grew into a curious 10-year-old. excelling in school, soccer star. Our home, now a brownstone in Brooklyn Heights, echoed with laughter. Jake and I, partners in every sense, navigated life's rhythms. Anniversaries celebrated quietly, aware of fragility. But past echoes resurfaced. At a family reunion, my side, Lucas asked about Jake's relatives. Why don't we see them? Truth time. Age-appropriate version. They didn't understand our family. His frown. That's dumb. Wisdom beyond years. Society's shifts aided. Broader acceptance. But pockets of hate persisted. A school bully taunted Lucas. Two dads? Weird. We addressed, teaching resilience. Jake shared his youth struggles. I hid who I was. Don't. Bonding deepened. Professional triumphs. My design firm boomed. Jake led diversity at his company. Advocacy continued. Speaking at conferences on LGBTQ+ parenting. Internal peace eluded fully. Nightmares. Jake leaving again. Therapy ongoing. Trauma lingers, counselor said. Jake's guilt. I caused this. Mutual forgiveness key. A pivotal moment. Jake's father died. Funeral in Illinois. Jake attended alone, closure seeking. Return changed. He apologized on deathbed. Weight lifted. We visited the grave later, Lucas included. Grandpa loved you in his way. Complexity taught. Moral reckonings. My initial secrecy. Jake forgave. You protected our son. But debate. Right or wrong. Lucas's teen years loomed. Questions sharpening. Why did you leave, Papa? Jake explained honestly. Fear, pressure. I regret it daily. Lucas hugged him. Glad you're here now. Our love story, once fractured, inspired. Friends joked. Hollywood material. But real-life messier. Arguments over chores, finances. Grounded. High drama returned when a documentary crew approached. Gay abandonment and redemption. We agreed, anonymized. Filming unearthed pain, but cathartic. Aired, sparking discussions. Forgiveness in queer relationships. Backlash. Online trolls. Fake. Gays can't parent. We ignored, focusing on impact. Emails from struggling couples. Your story saved us. The cost tallied. Lost trust, years alone, emotional toll. Gains. Unbreakable bond, Lucas's joy. As Lucas graduated middle school, we reflected. Proud of you, kid. He beamed. Thanks to both dads. Stories arc. From shock to awakening. Decisions debated. Jake's flight wrong? My secrecy justified? In the end, love prevailed, but at what price? Was Ethan's decision to hide the child from Jake initially a moral betrayal, or a necessary act of self-preservation?